and welcome back to the Prolong Lash YouTube channel. I am Alicia Phoenix, the head of marketing at Prolong, and I'm with the lovely Jodie
Harrison, the head of CEOing.
The head of CEOing. I love that. That's her new official title, the head of CEOing. And today we have something a little bit different and fun.
I cannot wait to this. It reminds me of like the old ghost stories around the campfire.
Yes. So we were sitting around the other day and we just thought we need to lighten the mood. The lash industry is a bit something at the moment. Everyone's feeling a bit stressed. Everyone's feeling a bit tense. Let's have some fun. And so we contacted our beautiful Prolong Lash family, as we call them, our resellers, and asked them who has some client from hell stories. We want you to submit your client from hell story. We want to read it out on our podcast and our YouTube channel and have a chat about it.
Exactly.
Have a laugh about it.
Hopefully our producer Carol's putting some scary music over the top or an effect of the lightning or something. A drum roll, because here we go. Okay, we're actually reading off sheets today.
So we're going to read their real responses.
We're going to read their real responses. So you go first.
Yeah.
You go. All right.
So this is what we've called, from the story that we've been given, the prepaid client from hell. So, a lash tech, we're not going to name anyone's names, okay? A lash tech accepted a new client who seemed very eccentric, okay? But they had prepaid for 8 fill appointments in advance. This client basically refused the procedure. So they wouldn't let a light be used because of sensitive eyes. They ignored all of the aftercare. So they were doing sweaty workouts, no cleansing, no looking after them, yet they're constantly complaining about poor retention. And then she demanded to drop in on a whim between scheduled fills, even pulled out entire fans of extensions, but denied touching them. And the artist was at their wits' end dealing with this boundary crossing behavior and trying to gently remind the client of their policies at every turn. And they just basically had to suck it up until their 8 fill appointments had been completed. That sounds
disastrous. Fun. Yeah. Moral to the story: prepaid. I don't know about that. Well, at least for me, I would need to see the client once before I did a whole 8 session. I'd have to bond and make it work rather than.
That is interesting, because I do really like the concept of a prepaid appointment schedule where someone might book them all in advance or pay for them a bunch in advance, and you could give the client a little bit of a discount, and then you've got that sort of service locked in. You've got a bit of guaranteed revenue, but it has its risks that maybe you didn't think of.
Yeah, if you don't like them straight up, or they don't like you straight up, you're stuck with them for 8 weeks. It'll make your life longer.
Maybe you just only offer that as an option for clientele that are already part of your business.
Yeah, that's what a little bit of loyalty. If you book 6 in advance, you get a discounted rate. So rather than just saying it's a sale off one service, you actually offer them 6 or 7. But once you've got to know them, don't do that. Serious. That was terrible.
Well, that is a bit hellish for that poor lash.
I would have gave them the money back and said, here you go. Take it somewhere else. And here's an extra $100 not to come back. But that's just me. That's what I like to do.
She's paying to get rid of her clients.
All right. Okay. My story. Here we go. When a client invades your home, one lash artist's elderly client repeatedly got free touch-ups. That sounds so bad. Touch-ups by complaining about her lashes until the tech finally offered a refund after removal of her set. So the client never showed up for the removal. Instead, she arrived unannounced during another appointment, barged into the lash tech's home studio, all guns are blazing, and flat out refused to leave without her money. So, to diffuse this, the 30-week pregnant artist, oh goodness, she was 30 weeks pregnant. She's lucky she didn't get a smack in the mouth, the old person that turned up, I tell you. Don't mess with a 30-week pregnant woman. Just gave a cash refund what's this? 30-week artist gave a cash refund just to get this customer out of her face. She later admitted she was silently crying with tears rolling while apologising to the client in her chair. Aww. It was such a traumatic lesson in enforcing boundaries and safety.
Yeah, that is so true. That is hard when you have a home salon because there is a real boundary between clients knowing where you live and, knowing where you work. I mean, it can happen even if you're in a workplace. You can have people who are gung-ho, unpleasant, turning up to your workplace. But also when it's your home, that's really scary because that is your sanctuary where you live. So I don't really know how to say avoid having crazy people in your salon.
I'm more concerned about a 30-week pregnancy, how to avoid having babies. But
condoms.
We'll have to say that on air. Too late, it's out there. Anyway,
it's a legitimate word.
No, okay, 30 weeks pregnant and having a scare in your home, not a nice thing at all. But as you said, unfortunately, that is probably going to happen. It can happen.
I think it's really intense to have someone just come in uninvited demanding things and I think that she made the right choice. Just give her money and get rid of that woman because you do not need that in your life. And that is very emotional as well. So I understand why she'd be crying. And I hope that her client on the bed was consoling her and making her feel better, which I'm sure that
and rubbing her poor swollen ankle feet.
Yeah, I don't expect your client to do that.
That'd be nice, but wouldn't it?
I'm not touching anyone's feet, I'm sorry. But that is a horrible experience.
It's a horrible experience.
That is an experience from hell.
So number 2, it's you. We feel very sorry for you, but hopefully it hasn't happened again and you gave birth to a beautiful baby who doesn't give you that much grief.
Babies will storm into your home whenever
unannounced.
They feel like it.
Unannounced. Okay,
you prepared yourself for motherhood.
I was just going to say number 3, and you were still going about motherhood.
Okay, I'm going to start number 3. Okay, so this is the guilt tripping for free lashes. Hellish client. Okay, so this is the story. Particularly manipulative client tried to guilt her lash artist into a discount. At the end of the volume fill, this client asked for a price cut because supposedly she wasn't going to be able to feed her kids this week if she paid full price. The stunned lash artist actually completed the service out of kindness, but immediately fired the client and she cancelled all of her future appointments and refused to ever book her in again. As the artist put it, she wasn't comfortable providing a luxury service if it might prevent kids from having their basic needs met. And she has no regrets in cutting ties. I actually love that. That is good. Because there will be people that try to take advantage and say maybe they can't afford it after having the service done. I actually like how she took that approach, and that was a really professional way of saying no.
It was a really humane and kind way of saying it too. It was good because, I know myself, I donate to certain things, or I'll be walking past and buy someone a sandwich if they look like they're hungry. I know we all do that kind of stuff. So that's her good deed. She did her good deed for the month.
Yep, she can feel good about herself.
She can feel good. Karma comes back. Always a nice way coming back. So that's a really nice story. It's a horrible story because it happens all the time.
I feel sorry for that person's children. That she's prioritizing.
Do you think she had children?
Well, maybe not, but I hope she doesn't.
But that she's getting her lashes done, not feeding her kids. She doesn't deserve children. Anyway, I shouldn't say that because some people get their lashes done. You might want to edit that. That was a bit rough.
Okay, so she was fantastic. Let's see what happens next.
Right, let's see.
Next client. I like this one. When I read this come through the first time, I was like, it's cute. It's not too hellish, but it's still uncomfortable. Tell us about it.
The snoring and surprise snorter. Okay. Not all horror stories are angry ones. Some are just plain awkward. One lash artist recalls a sweet mid-40s client who always fell into a very deep sleep during appointments.
Oh, I know those clients.
Complete with loud snoring. One day the client passed gas. I've never used those words in my life, but that's what I'm going to say because if I say fart, I'm going to get in trouble. One day the client passed gas very loudly in her sleep. Isn't that funny how you use that word, pass gas or fart, and you laugh? Like, what is that with it? with us.
I don't know.
Crazily.
We're giant children.
Jolting herself awake in embarrassment. The lash tech pretended that nothing really happened and reassured her, no worries, it happens all the time. It doesn't really matter. Unfortunately, the mortified client never returned, but the story lives on in her cringy memory.
That one's just a laugh. I
It's
mean,
a laugh.
farts
It's
happen.
got to happen.
Everybody farts.
Yeah, it does. Hopefully not in the elevator.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You can't help what you're doing when you're sleeping. And I do like it when my clients go to sleep because it makes me feel like they're so calm and I'm not squashing their face with my hands and they're feeling relaxed. So, you know, I'd rather if they didn't fart in my presence, but also it's like, well,
bit of a compliment.
Yeah.
We'll take that as a compliment. Relaxed. We'll take that as a compliment. So moving right along from that story.
It's not so scary. Okay, this one's bad.
Okay.
This one's really bad, okay? Strip lashes super glued to eyelids. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, that's terrible.
Okay. A new client came in for removal, and the lash artist was shocked by what she saw. The poor client had gone to an unqualified provider who literally super glued her lashes to her natural lashes. It was a strip lash.
Oh, no.
And the extension glue was so thick, it clumped, and it looked like a mix of latex and acrylate craft glue, like mixed together. And the horrified tech took pictures as she painstakingly removed the mess. And 7 years later, that client is still her loyal regular. A testament to the artist's help in undoing a lash nightmare.
Goodness
so,
me.
Yeah,
that was wig lash. Is that what was that the one that was wig lash?
No, that's our next one.
Oh, I jumped ahead. Sorry.
Tell them because I
thought it was wig lash.
Yeah, we saw so many. So many people emailed in, and there were a few like similar repeat ones. So we did sort of take the select ones, but I still thought, let's tell them the wig lash one.
All right, so we'll go wig glue. I said wig lash twice, and you copied me.
I'm copying. I'm a parrot.
Wig glue. In a similar fix-it situation, a client arrived with massive gaps and damages from her last extension. She'd gone to a cheap salon, where they likely used long-lasting wig glue on her eyes. When the client experienced pain and swelling, the salon refused to remove the lashes, so she resorted to plucking them off herself like a chicken, tearing out many natural lashes in the process. Of course, you don't pick your lashes. The new lash tech could only use the thinnest extensions and tiny fans to disguise the bald spots and broken stubs. It was an outrage. Oh, no, it doesn't say that. It was an outright painful horror story of improper application that artists never want to see again.
Oh, that's so sad. I really hate that.
I'm a little bit of a picker.
Picking a single lash off is one thing. Like when, and I mean, this is not this client's fault.
Her
She's
fingers
gone
didn't get
back.
stuck to the.
Well, wig glue dries as well. But I mean, I feel bad because it's like, well, if they've gone back to the lash artist, I'm going to say in like bunny ears, the lash artist, so-called lash artist,
find out that
and they've refused to take it off. Like, what do they do? Like, and they're in pain, there's swelling, there's all these problems. I mean, I might rip them off too. And then you just got to rip out like all your lashes.
I'd probably cut them off.
But it's not going to help because the glue is still going to be down the base. Like, what are you going to do? Cut it off your skin? This is so scary.
I suppose anything you use around your eyes too to get it off, like acetone. Like I know, that's what I'm saying. If it was glue some other part of your body, you'd use like an acetone, or you'd use something that would like glue off.
No,
imagine putting that around your eyes.
This is horrifying to me. This is hellish. The definition of client hell. Like, my goodness. I had a similar experience where I don't know what they used. I think it was like nail glue or something, and they glued a bunch of clusters onto a customer, and she came in and had that they're just awful. And it took us like 3 hours to get them off slowly, and then we redid them. And she wasn't happy with them at first because she was used to having these really thick, full-on lashes, and it's all we could do. But like our number 5, submission, she was still our client many years later.
How do you charge? Like, how would you charge that? 3 hours work? Like, that's a set and a half.
I know. So, I mean, we were lucky enough that there was multiple lash artists in our salon that day, so we were all taking turns. Like when we finished a client, someone would go in and keep on working on the removal, and we just kept on taking turns. And we just charged her the $30 removal fee like we normally do at a full set.
Oh, that's so nice.
Because we were able to do that.
Yeah,
but I don't know
that's so nice.
if it's just you.
Yep.
I think what you'd have to do is look at them and go, cannot be done. I cannot fix this right this second. If you are booked already,
Yeah.
I'm going to make you an emergency appointment, like for
Yep.
tomorrow morning or whatever it is,
Yep.
or call someone and see if I can move something and say this is
Yeah.
an urgent emergency, and I know you're my loyal client and I would never normally move you, but I need to save someone's eyelashes.
Yes, exactly.
Please.
Exactly. Good. That's a good way to do it. All right. Next horror story.
Okay, next horror story. Let's see.
We
What
got-
number? Yeah, so, this is, I remember this email coming. Yeah, the client who refused to pay. So, this email came through from one of our resellers. She's a lash salon owner. She dealt with a brazen client who tried to scam a full set of lashes for the price of a fill. Okay, so the client hadn't been in over 8 weeks, so far beyond the time frame that they needed to be booked for a fill. They booked in a classic refill. And after a full 3-hour set service, she claimed that she thought it was just a 4-week fill and would only be paying $85 instead of the $275 that was due. So the salon owner first attempted to compromise and said $175 and then $125, but the client refused every offer. And in the end, they told her not to pay at all and just not to come back. Yet she left $85 and plastered a 1-star review everywhere, accusing the business of swindling her, and the lash artist was absolutely crushed. But she learned to document policies clearly and to protect herself against clients that are doing this. So
It's so bad.
it is a bit of a horror story, but it is a learning opportunity.
I know, but it's more a horror story for me that she got a 1-star review. You just can't take that down that easily, and you just can't come back from that. And this woman, how many times have we heard this horror story? This come up like in all the emails.
I know.
Lots of people said they're booking for a refill and they need a full set.
Yeah, and
How do you stop
to be
that?
fair, we don't have the full story. Like, was it made clear to her before she performed the full set that this was not going to be a refill?
Yes.
This is going to be a full set, and maybe that was the agreement. But I just think before laying anyone down, you see that they have like no lashes left. One, when they book it, you should be able to look in your booking system and go, just giving you a call because I noticed you booked in a 4-week refill, but you haven't been in for 8 weeks. So just letting you know that's going to be a full set. Like, bang,
Yeah.
stamp it out there.
Yeah.
And then
Don't
if
come
you
in.
haven't done that, stamp it out of the next step. They lay down and go, you have no lashes. Just letting you know this is not going to be a refill. This is going to be $275.
Bang, stamp the bitch out twice.
Yes, boom. Jody's taking them down.
Then third,
Yeah, and
then you get stuck.
yeah, well,
Do the
then
same.
don't do them if they're not agreed that they're paying to it. Or you only do the refill and go, no worries, I'm just doing the refill for that amount of money. And then they stand up and they go, well, they're not very full and they don't look very good. And they'll be like, it's fine.
It's a refill.
That's because you paid for a refill and you haven't been in for 8 weeks.
So we'll see you later.
Yeah.
Please don't come back.
But this person was really clever and used this as a learning opportunity to review their policies, make sure they had policies in place, and protect themselves from this happening again. So good on them, because we all have to start somewhere. We all have to learn from
Yeah,
something.
good on. Much better than me. I would have probably booted her out and put a butthole. But anyway, that's
Wow.
me.
Yeah, I think take option A.
Yeah, okay. Okay, number 8 reseller story. I'd love to say hello to this person, but I can't because we're not giving names out today. Chronically late and too friendly. Another
Too friendly? Tell us about this.
Another lash artist describes a chronically late client who showed up 30 to 50 minutes late to every appointment.
50?
Time.
What's appointment over?
Yeah, that's what I'd be like. Appointment over. I remember Tuss did a talk once, and I remember being in there. It was the first year I was at LashCon, and hi Tuss, how you going? And it was the first year I was at LashCon, and I went into this talk because I hadn't seen a lot of lash talks before, and I'm sitting there watching it, and she said, so she turned up 45 minutes late. She goes, I just moved on to the next person. I told her that I had a lovely lunch break, and that was it. I went to the next person.
Good response.
30 to 50 minutes late for every appointment. Are you kidding me? Okay, the tech hesitated to enforce the late policy because they'd grown friendly. The client was abusing her, using the friendship. That's what the client was doing. In fact, the client
abuse.
seemed to view her as a friend more than a professional.
That's a problem.
And thus felt fine disregarding appointment times because my mate won't care that I'm 50 minutes late. Your mate does care. This situation caused the artist serious anxiety about setting boundaries. Fellow pros encouraged her to stand up for herself, noting that you deserve a peaceful workplace and every friend must respect your time.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that being nice does not mean accepting lateness.
Yeah, and I have experienced this before. So I think I've mentioned previously that sort of in between our lash salon and in between running my own lash salon, for a short time, I worked for another random salon that was at a market. And I had a client that used to come every week, and she was the owner's best friend, and she was always like 30 to 40 minutes late.
Okay.
And when she'd turn up, she'd be like, "It's fine. I know I've only got 20 minutes left. It's fine. Just do what you can." And it was so annoying because she was the owner's best friend, and I couldn't really be like, "You know what? Hit the road, Jack. I'm not interested," because it was my salon. I'd be like, absolutely not. Though I did also have a client in my own business who was always half an hour late, but I just started telling her her appointments were half an hour later.
I was going to say, if it's someone you don't want to get rid of.
Yeah, I loved that client, and she was
smart.
super friendly, and she and I did become like friendly. And, you know, she was a great client. She always showed up, you know, she always booked well in advance, but she was always half an hour late. And so I would just, if her appointment was at 5, I would just tell her it was at 4:30. And then
Easy.
sometimes she'd be early, and I'd be like, "I'll be with you in a minute, babe."
Don't you love that? It's like that sweet satisfaction smile. Oh, hi. You're not meant to feel like, not that we feel like that about any of our customers, but sometimes I just love that. Well, you have a little win.
It's great. And like that solved my problem. I might not solve everyone's problem, but she was literally every single time half an hour late. So it worked perfectly for us.
Horror client.
All right, let's talk about the next one that came in. Okay.
Don't shuffle your papers while you talk, otherwise producer Carol's going to get really angry with us.
Sorry, I'm stopping. Okay, I promise. I'll be still like a statue.
She was doing the love heart, I think, in the background.
Yeah, she loves us secretly deep down. She was. So this one is a hard one. This is an allergic reaction blamed on the lash tech. The lash artist had a client who unfortunately turned out to be allergic to lash adhesive, and as soon as the client reported irritation, the tech offered to do a free removal and give advice on how to care for the eyes, but the client ignored the message for a full day, went to the doctors for the redness, and then had another salon remove the lashes. And then after all that, the client demanded a full refund from the original lash artist who did the lashes. And the lash artist was torn because her policy clearly stated no refunds, especially since an allergy isn't actually the lash artist's fault. And supportive peers of hers advised her to stand firm, and she did everything right by offering all the immediate help. But that didn't stop the client from blaming her or causing her a lot of grief, demanding that refund. But she did stay firm and she didn't give a refund, which I think is fair. But that is a hard one because anything to do with eyes, once you've had lashes, the blame goes squarely on the lash artist. Like I've talked about this before. I once got a bug bite on my eyelid and my eyelid like puffed up and just out of nowhere. And I actually happened to not have been wearing lashes at that time. Was my demonstration of puffing up. Taken Jodie out. Sorry. So yeah, well, that's what happened to my eye. And then they, you know, if I'd been wearing lashes, I would have been like, my lashes have caused some kind of a crazy situation, but it just so happened that I wasn't wearing lashes, which is pretty rare for me. So I was like, oh, well, it must be something else. But I know for sure, and I posted this on my lash account at the time when it happened. I took a picture of my eye and said, look at my eye. If I was wearing eyelash extensions, I would 100% have blamed them. But just because there's something wrong with your eye doesn't mean it's lash extensions. to say that she wasn't having an allergic reaction to the glue, this person, and she's not allergic to lashes, but that's still not the lash artist's fault. And the lash artist did do the right things. Some people you just can't
appease. Some people you can't please. So that's a no-brainer. You don't take her back anyway. She's not coming back because she went to another person. I wonder if she got an allergic reaction from the removal. I'd like to find that out.
Probably not, because they're different ingredients.
Did you ever think that you might have got bitten by a lash mite?
No.
Anyway, I'm not getting you started on them. So we're going to the next story.
Yeah, I've gone somewhere else. Sorry.
Ghosted by no-shows. Dun, 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 dun.
That sucks.
Few things give a lash artist chills like a no-show client. One stylist calculated that every month, one missed appointment per week, on average $180 per service, meant she lost $720 per month, or over a year, $8,600 in revenue gone.
Mm-hmm.
I hope she had a retail corner. You might have been able to make that up. Anyway, that financial horror story is why many lash pros implement deposit and cancellation policies. It's empowering to remember you have the right to charge fees or require prepayment. Your time is valuable, and your policies should be your livelihood.
I love this email, and can you tell that she's a lash educator?
Yes, I was going to say.
The way that she phrased her email to us was so...
very professional.
Yes, fantastic. I love that, and it's so true. Like, so amazing to calculate how much you've lost in revenue based on no-shows, and amazing to then make sure that you're putting policies in place that have a real, like, monetary value behind them. It's like policies do save you money.
Yeah, and I'm just sitting here thinking about these figures. You know, maybe the one a week you wouldn't overly think about. The one a month, you'd probably think about $720 when something come up that you had to pay for. And you would think, oh, if all those clients had it. But looking at that $8,600.
Oh, that's a hit to the
wallet. That's a trip. That's your holiday for the year gone. Because and at the time, I'm sure I've heard people say this because we know a lot of people in the industry. It was really good, actually. I didn't mind the person cancelling. I was pretty busy. I needed to do some bookwork. There are times when it does suit you, and I get that. But that's what we've talked about in another place. We talked about booking too many people in, not to have some space. But anyway, someone cancels, you can do something. But when you look at it like this, someone cancels 4 times a month. It's like $700.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not for me.
That is a horror story.
That's a horror story.
Losing $8,000.
So how do you fix it?
Policies, yes, she's right. She's totally right. You need to have policies in place. I mean, policies are your own choice in how you do it. And like the standard in the lash industry is, say, take a deposit so that if they cancel or no-show, you keep that money. That's not everyone's cup of tea. As we've spoken about previously in other podcasts, I didn't charge a deposit, and what I had was a 3 strikes policy. So, you know, first time if you didn't show, you got a warning. Second time it was like, this is your final warning. If you didn't show or cancelled last minute again, you're barred. And people got to strike 2 and they were too scared. They would never move again. Because I'd be like, I will literally never let you come back again. Well, the only reason I would is if they paid in full before their appointment. Well, I wouldn't do that for everyone, only people that were troublemakers.
Troublemakers, yeah. I'm just thinking, looking at these figures, I'm thinking if you did charge a deposit for your service and they didn't show up still and you didn't refund it because that's your policy, you might only lose half that money a year.
But that's still $4,000.
But there are people are going to cancel.
Yes.
People are going to cancel. So if you've taken a deposit and that person cancels and you take them back again and they cancel again, then you do your 2 or 3 strikes. But there's always going to be people that even when they've paid a deposit, I've paid a deposit before and cancelled for a good reason, for a really good reason. So you're still going to have, it's still going to be a percentage of your business you're going to lose in cancellations. But that amount, when you look at it like that, and if you don't have policies, at least you could halve it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put that in perspective. Halve it.
Yeah.
Cancellations. Ooh.
Yeah, horrifying.
Horrifying story. Next one.
We hate that. Okay.
This is me.
Okay, this is...
I know, on the next one. I'm 12.
I'm
you can do that.
Ahead.
You do 12.
I'm gonna do the Jody client. I've experienced the Jody client before. No, okay, here we go. So this is the fidgety, can't stay still client. So one new lash tech had a client who from just 10 minutes into the service was fidgeting and kept opening their eyes and adjusting their head constantly. And despite for a new lash artist. Despite having a generous 3-hour block for the set, it turned into a huge struggle for them. The client was continually moving and making the proper application nearly impossible for the lash artist. And in the end, the lashes looked terrible or far below that lash artist's standards due to all the interruptions and all the movements. And the lash artist wasn't even mad at herself. She recognized that she did do her best under the circumstances. And later she invested in things like good quality iPads, calming music, even stress balls for the clients to hold. Anything to help with the restlessness and keep the clients still.
Yeah, what about one of those pillows that goes around like when you're on a plane and stops your neck going like that? For those of you that can't see me, my neck flops when I fly.
Yeah, there are travel pillows.
So I was going to say you could put that around the head.
There are also lash-specific pillows that have like a nice little concave for the head to be in, and then they have the spaces beside where you can put all your tools. And I love that. And putting a blanket on to make them feel warm and cozy, and they might just relax and...
Asking them to go to the restroom before they lay down.
Yes.
Asking them to go to the restroom, because you sometimes do forget when you're rushing. You jump on the bed, you lay down, they start, and you go, oh no.
Yeah.
Guess what I need to do?
Some people are fidgety, and sometimes I know it's extreme, but okay, so I had this one client.
You gave someone no dose. That's what you gave me.
Just chloroform, just a little towel over the face. A little bit.
She goes, do my pillow thing.
18 hours later, she looked amazing. I had a client, not you, a different client who would just, I think the iPads irritated her, but she would just grab her nose and sort of swivel it around every 30 seconds. Oh. And every time you do that as a lash artist, you'll know the iPad's going up the nose, wiggle everywhere, and all of her bottom lashes start popping out. And she was driving me spare because I was just like, what do I do? Because then the top lashes are sticking to the bottom lashes and then you have to separate them, and that doesn't feel comfortable. And I actually just said to her, do you mind if I just record you for a few minutes while I'm doing your lashes? She goes, yeah, sure, whatever. Because she probably thought I was going to do social media or something with it.
Not a chance, you nose twitcher.
Yeah, so I did that, and I actually showed her afterwards. I was like, now, I just want to let you know that all of the movement that you're doing when you're getting your lashes done is really interfering with your lash sets, because I wasn't able to put on as many lashes or do them properly because of all the movement. And I said, your lashes could look way better than this. And let me just show you, because I just don't think you're aware of it. And I showed her what doing this actually did. That was moving a nose back and forth. Actually did to the iPads and how much
disrupted
they move. And she was like, oh, wow, I didn't even think that it would have any effect at all. And I was like, no, and why would you? Because you don't do lashes, and that's fine. But that's why I wanted to show you. And after that, she was really good about it. She was really good, conscious about touching her face. And actually, she used to put her hands underneath her bottom and kind of sit on her hands to stop herself from touching her face. Because it was just a habitual thing. She was just doing it without even realizing.
You can't help that. Some people can't help that. Okay, our last one for today. I'm taking this one, and it's something that Alicia makes me laugh about every time. But creepy crawlies in the lash line. Alicia's favourite thing, lash mites. Okay, prepare yourself for the ultimate gross out. Put your food down. Make sure that you're not eating when we talk about this. Okay, a lash artist, and we'd love to say this person's name, but we're not going to. Take down a client's lower lashes. Leaned in to begin the set. So we're setting the mode here. Leaned in to begin the set and saw something moving. First you thought it was common for blepharitis flakes or something like that, until she got closer, and there were tiny bugs crawling all over the lash line. Oh, imagine being able to see them. Ugh. Anyway, the client had a severe case of Demodex, which is lash mite infestation in your lash line, from not washing her lashes with Prolong Lash aftercare.
True.
With her extensions. The tech immediately stopped the service and gently informed the client the kind discovery is every lash artist's nightmare, but it underscores why we should preach good lash hygiene.
So true.
Lash lights is a real thing, and if you ever don't wash your lashes, you will get these unwanted. Yes.
Yeah, that's true. Lash mites are on all of everybody's eyes. They're not caused by eyelash extensions. They're there to clean up all the gunk and stuff. But if you don't wash your lashes or your eyelash extensions, they can turn into infestations.
Oh, which is something that that's grossed me out. I don't even do lashes. If that was me, I'd give up doing lashes. If I saw
Really?
little crawly things. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd probably not. I'd probably just say, go home, wash yourself.
Yeah, well, it would
go home and have a good think
just
about yourself.
Good. Smack them on the bottom.
Yes.
It's not good enough just to wash them once either. That's like we're going to be going under an intensive wash routine and cleaning them, double cleansing minimum twice a day until your eyes are in a reasonable state. And quite frankly, I would take their lashes off. Yeah. Because we just need to eliminate anything that's on there that can be food for those lash mites. We need them all to die. And apparently they just eat until they explode.
Okay.
That's their lifespan.
Right. Well, on that note, I think you can put your food back in your mouth. And now that we've finished talking about the gross stuff, and I think we've covered what we're going to cover today. We've got hundreds of them. Thank you for sending in all your stuff.
So many we got sent.
Yeah, we did. It was great.
We should do another episode with a few more, like a while away.
I think we will. I think we do more because we've got heaps here, but we get carried away about reading them out. We should if we just read them out, it'd be boring. So we need to put our little drama show on for you. And we didn't even rehearse. We just ad-lib. We're so good at theatre.
Aren't we amazing?
Aren't we amazing?
Who wants to hire us for a Broadway show?
I can stand on my head.
She can. We know that.
Alicia can sing. So there you go. You can have us. You can have us as a duet. But thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you. It was fun. I liked talking about something a bit out of the box, something a bit different. And, you know, every lash artist has had some kind of horror story. So it's nice to know that we're all in it together. You're not alone out there.
So if you liked us,
give us a thumbs up. And, you know, make your comments of your lash horror stories below, and then we can possibly do them in our reprise episode, or email them to us as well if you want to keep them as a surprise for the episode if it's a really good one.
And if you want to not get lash mites, jump on the website and order some product, www.prolonglash.com.au for Australia. Wash your lashes twice a day. Keep the lash mites right away.
Yeah, that's our new slogan.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.